Hello, and today I'm going to give you a simple introduction to creating publication quality graphics in R. Now we're going to use a package, so an add-on bit of functionality called ggplot2 to create the graphics. Now let's first talk about the philosophy of why we need to do that. You might be saying, well, R has base plotting functions, the plot function, the hist function. Why can't we just use those? Well, like anything else in R, the basic framework provides you some things to get started with, but to do anything serious, you need the external framework. And ggplot2 really is extensive. It's based on the grammar of graphics architecture, and this ggplot2 package is the way you can use that architecture in R. So the website is ggplot2.org, and to install it, all you have to run in R is this install.packages and give it ggplot2. So with that done, what do we want to do with it? Well, in this example, to keep it simple, all we're going to do is create a simple line graph just to show you how simple it is, but you can do way more with ggplot2, and hopefully you'll see how extensive the architecture is by the end of this video. So yeah, let's get started. Just like with any package, to start using ggplot2 after you've installed it, you need to run the library function to give you access to all of its libraries. So now we have that, we can start generating some data. Now the example data we're going to use for this is called, it's in a data frame called static data. Now, to work with anything in ggplot2 really, or anything in R, your data needs to be in data frames. I did a separate video on how to create data frames and really what they are, but to give you a quick refresher, I've got each of my variables across the top, and it's basically like a table of data. So and because there's an example, this data obviously is perfectly related, so perfectly linear, so that's what we're going to create a graph of. So how do we create a graph in ggplot2? Well, we use the ggplot function rule. We need somewhere to put our graph first, so I'm going to assign it to a variable graph. So I'm going to say graph equals ggplot, and then as this down here tells us, the first thing we need to give the function is where our data comes from. So our data comes from this scatter data frame. Now there are several things we can pass in at this point, but ggplot has a layered architecture. You don't use one function for a bar graph, one function for a line graph. It's layered. So all this ggplot function is doing is creating the base plot, and then you add on bits called geoms later on. So I could, for example, create a geom for a bar, a geom for a line, a geom for a point, and add all these things onto one graph. So all it wants is the base information. So we've given it what data we're going to use, and in this case we're going to use the AES function to tell it what our different axes equate to. As part of the base plot, we're gonna tell it which variables to expect on which axes. So I need to assign values to x and y. So because x is labeled x up here, all I need to do is say x equals x, and I'm gonna also say y equals y. If I run that, it's not gonna error. It's not gonna nothing's gonna happen. But if I run it, it's not. There's nothing there. Even though we told it what we wanted for our axes, this device has nothing in it. So what we need to do, like I said, is add some geoms, and see there we get an error, no layers in plot. So what we first want to add some points. So that's as simple as saying graph equals the data you've already got for graph, because remember this is hierarchical. We're building it up slowly, and it also equals the results of adding the gm point function. Now if we run, if we look at our graph, we see we've got a graph with our axes on, with points on it. Now you can customize every aspect of this, but that's what the structure is. You create the base plot and then you add GMs. So some GMs are a bit more complicated than others, because this is basically the default position. Even when you add a bar GM, is not to create a bar graph. It's to use each case to create variables. So in this example, each case is a point. So that's why I chose to start with a scatter plot. Let's close that then and add another GM just to demonstrate it. So again, it's still hierarchical, so we can't just say graph equals whatever GM we want. We have to say graph equals what we've already got in graph. So graph equals graph plus another new GM. And what kind of a GM is it we want? Well, you just kind of have to know these, and I happen to know that the GM we want is geom line. So if we look at what graph looks like now, you can see we've got a line for them. So that was a really simple introduction to what ggplot you can do. You can customize every aspect of this graph and build just about every single graph you can think of. But I just wanted to give you a simple introduction to the layered structure, and the idea that you create a base plot and then add in a bunch of gems, and every time you add a gem, you have to make sure that the data you provided before that are still part of it. So thank you for watching this statistics video. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye bye.